What's the most ridiculous fact you know? That following the invention of basketball in 1891, it took another 15 years before someone replaced the peach baskets with metal hoops and nets, which had previously required someone with a ladder to go get the ball out of the basket after each and every point scored. I wonder how come no one thought of removing the bottom of the basket while climbing a ladder over and over. Pineapples used to be so expensive and rare that rich people would rent them for fancy parties as decorations. Taser is an acronym. It stands for Thomas A. Swift's electric rifle. It's from a book published in 1911 called Tom Swift and His Electric Rifle. The only stuffed whale in the world is the Malm whale, in Gothenburg. Its mouth can be opened to see the inside. People even had lunch in it, but entering was restricted since a couple had S inside. Virtually every world record giant pumpkin came from a seed of the world record pumpkin it beat. The seeds of world record pumpkins can sell for exorbitant amounts of money. Researching competition pumpkin growers on the web will lead you down a really strange rabbit hole. Not really ridiculous, but more sad. We don't know Albert Einstein's last words, as he spoke them in German to a nurse who only knew English. Rats have no music preference, but on cocaine they like jazz. A word you can type on the top letter row of a standard keyboard is typewriter. And the only word in the English language with 3 consecutive double letters is bookkeeper. I'm a bookkeeper. Teddy Roosevelt wanted a wrestling ring in his NY governor's office. When he didn't get one, he told people to meet him at the governor's mansion until he tweaked his back. When he was president, he learned jiu-jitsu in the Oval. Mark Antony brought sand from Egypt to Turkey to cover an entire beach for Cleopatra. Sadir is now known as Cleopatra's Island for this reason. Horseshoe crab blood is the only species known to have limulus amoebocyte lysate, or LOL, which is used in many biological applications to test for the presence of certain endotoxins. It's used in water testing, vaccine manufacturing, and many other biological applications. A missing Oxford comma in a bill decided a $5 million lawsuit, in favor of truckers being paid overtime. A lack of an Oxford comma cost dairy $5 million, CNN. Commas matter, people. I'm a writing tutor. Frogs can't keep their eyes open when eating food. When a frog swallows food, it pulls its eyes down into the roof of its mouth. The eyes helps push the food down its throat. Titanic's sister ship, Olympic, had a positive KDR. During World War I, she rammed a U-boat and split it in two. In the 1970s there were about half as many people as there are today. Space is only 62 miles away. In 1927, a guy named Ebenezer Byers injured his arm on a train and got prescribed a medicine called Radithor to deal with the pain. He apparently really liked how it made him feel, taking more and more and more until the effect stopped. He started getting headaches, lost weight, and his teeth began falling out. And then in 1931 his freaking lower jaw fell off. Radithor, it turns out, was just radium mixed into water. That's it. He irradiated himself for about 4 years until eventually he died in 1932. The Supreme Court in America has a basketball court in the top floor, and it's called, you guessed it, the highest court in the land. The incident where Michael Jackson caught his hair on fire in the 80s was, within a day, the exact halfway point of his life. August 29, 1958, date of his birth be January 27, 1984, date of the fire incident see June 25, 2009, date of his death. Days between A and B, 9, 282 days. Days between B and C, 9, 281 days. My most ridiculous fact is that someone took the time to figure that out. If you take a leech and put it in a maze, it will eventually find its way around. If you take that leech, blend it and feed it to another leech, that leech will already know its way around the maze. This is called chemical memory. Baby koalas get their immune systems by letting the mother koala literally crap in their mouths. Crows have the intelligence of a 7-year-old human child. They recognize faces, make tools, use currency amongst themselves, understand physics, and are self-aware. They've been seen doing things like dropping walnuts in intersections for cars to run over and waiting for the light to pick up the seeds from the street. If you pee them off, they'll tell other local murders about you and pass that hatred of you on to their offspring, making you a lifetime enemy, and do crap like drop rocks on your car windshield and punch holes in your screen door. I know this last fact from personal experience because my grandma made enemies with the crows where she lived when they started eating her crops. She would swing her broom at them and accidentally killed one by throwing a shoe at it. Every time I visited her, they'd crap all over my car and tuck bramble into my car's vents and exhaust. Even after she died, they peck at her gravestone and leave shells and bramble around her grave. There exists a jellyfish by the name of Turritopsis dohrnii that can control its own aging process, making it immortal. In 1304, the Catholic Church had to intervene due to an excessive act of misconduct by one of their bishops. The Bishop of Lincoln, John Dalderby, abused canon law and excommunicated the entire town of Newport Pagnell, denying them the rights of religious services or benediction. Because his friend's pet falcon got lost in the town and they couldn't find it, which led to Dalderby thinking the falcon was stolen. An adult male of average height has enough iron in their blood to make a 2-inch iron finishing nail. Mine is 8.5. Thank you very much. The word cliché is a French onomatopoeia for the sound a printing press makes as it spits out copy after copy. Ants outnumber humans 1,000,000 to 1. Antidepressants work on lobsters bro. That's why it's so rare for lobsters to be blue. Every sea in the Pacific Ocean is pronounced differently. You will never find broccoli growing in the wild because it was developed through centuries of careful plant breeding. Most of the sand on tropical beaches is parrotfish crap. Parrotfish feed on algae and microorganisms found on coral. They crush it in their beaks, and pass it through their digestive system. Some species produce 2,000 pounds of sand per year. The Bible has instructions for pooping. The Lewis and Clark expedition can be tracked because they left excess deposits of mercury in the soil. They were all constipated from their meat-based diet, so they were taking these mercury-based laxatives called thunderclappers. The guy in ZZ Top that doesn't have a beard is named Frank Beard. The Teletubbies are around 10 feet tall. Counting nonstop, it would take you about 12 days to count to 1,000,000. It would take you 31 years to count to 1,000,000,000. Replacement eyelids can be made from foreskin. Found that out about 90 minutes ago. I'm sure I'll find more as I read through the box set. The Caesar salad was invented in Tijuana, Mexico. Barnacles have the largest wiener to body ratio, roughly 8 times the length of their bodies. That would be the equivalent of an adult male having a wiener of about 46 feet, or the length of 3 Toyota Corollas parked bumper to bumper. You know the Challenger explosion? It was caused by launching during conditions that were too cold for one of the critical O-rings. That type of O-ring smells like cinnamon. These are the kind of weird tidbits that you pick up while learning materials science. A group of chipmunks is called a scurry. How diet soda came to be and how it all started with RC Cola. So basically a grocer in the South saw how much profit he was getting from selling Coca-Cola in his store and went to the company to see if he could get a wholesale deal on it. They said no and he decided to get into the cola market. Him and a partner bought a pharmacy and set about mixing up his own sodas. He found success with a cherry soda, but that didn't stop him from tinkering even more, eventually creating what was later called Royal Crown Cola. Around the 50s they were still tinkering with flavors and realized they could make a Royal Crown variant that could be marketed towards the ladies, a concoction that came to be known as Diet Right. Diet Right helped Royal Crown gain enough footing to become the official third brand in the cola wars, with Diet Right being the dominant diet soda on the market. The good times ended after correctly the Food and Drug Administration tested the sodas on the market and found Diet Right had an ingredient that could be detrimental to the consumer's health, so Diet Right was pulled from the market. It was eventually brought back with new ingredients, but RC was never quite able to climb back up to where it was. Birds' bones are not hollow to be lighter. They are also more dense, which means they end up weighing about the same even though they are hollow. The structure does add some stiffness, but does not really make them appreciably lighter. The actual reason that birds' bones are hollow is to add volume to the air sacs that are part of their, extremely different, respiratory system. The insides of birds' bones are part of their respiratory system. Also, air only flows one way through birds' lungs, with these air sacs basically pumping air through them. Birds are weird AF. Charlie Chaplin lost his own look-alike contest. Roses have prickles, not thorns. One of the few things I remember from botany class. Only 8 bolts hold an engine onto a commercial airplane. Vikings would use animals' bones when creating their weapons or armor, which would make it stronger due to the carbon being added to the metal, not due to their belief of the animal's spirit embodying the weapon or armor. Texas A&M University bred jalapeno peppers with green bell peppers to produce a milder jalapeno with longer shelf life, thus increasing profitability for farmers/grocers. There are still heirloom jalapenos out there, and this is why some jalapenos are spicier than others at different restaurants. For example, the jalaps you get at pho restaurants are usually deliciously spicy, but their tam cousins at the Mexican restaurant are sad and weak. Our eyes have blind spots, not like you forget about your nose thing, but literal blind spots right in the middle of our vision due to the way the optic nerve connects. Your brain filters it out, but you can see where it is if you know about it. Blew my mind. Umami can be translated as tasty taste. I still can't get over how caterpillars actually dissolve into a liquid goop before metamorphosing into butterflies. And retain their memories in the process. Project Acoustic Kitty. In the 1960s, some people at the CIA thought it would be a brilliant idea to use a cat, wired up with a microphone and antenna, to spy on Soviet agents talking in Washington, D.C. parks, where you couldn't set up reliable bugs. There's a couple versions of how the project came to an end. Either A. The prototype cat was hit by a cab immediately at the start of its first field trial. B. The cats were proving too difficult to train/control, so those that were surgically enhanced with microphones and antennae were returned to normal. The term for single pieces of confetti is confetto. The chainsaw was invented to aid with childbirth. Clouds can weigh millions of pounds, and snails have thousands of teeth. Mars is the only known planet inhabited entirely by robots. It's common for chimpanzees to use frogs as fleshlights. There are certain parts of this universe that are expanding away from us faster than the speed of light. What this means, is that these parts of the universe are expanding so fast, that we will never be able to observe them. Because its expansion is faster than the speed of light, and light is our only way of observing parts of the universe from a distance, telescopes, these sections of the universe will forever be unknown, and never be discovered by us. Moray eels aren't naturally green, that's the color of their mucus they coat themselves in. Learned that from the Boston Aquarium. In all of recorded human history, only one person has survived an untreated rabies infection. Otherwise, for all intents and purposes, untreated rabies is 100% fatal. Cows are really social animals and always have, at least, one friend. And we humans actually can become one of their friends. Resulting in us being able to train them and even being able to ride them and doing horse jumping with them. Sailing ships were used as active warship, so not only training duties. In both World Wars, the Germans used SMS Seattle with surprising success in 1917-1918. The USS Irene Forsyth had a very brief career in World War II. Also, the Germans captured the Norwegian whaling fleet in Antarctica with the merchant raider Penguin in World War II. When the guy who invented frisbees died, he was cremated and turned into a frisbee. In 2006, a team of scientific researchers in Iceland were gathering clams in order to study the effects of climate change. They froze the clams, which ended up killing them. They ended up killing the oldest known clam still left alive, nicknamed Ming, which was 507 years old. Cleopatra lived closer to the creation of Pizza Hut than she did the creation of the Great Pyramids. Trex lived closer to modern-day man than he did Stegosaurus. If you properly shuffle a deck of playing cards, odds are that the arrangement of those cards has never been seen, nor will be seen again. Another way of saying it. There are 52 factorial, 52, ways of arranging a deck of cards. An impossibly large number. A whale, 20 liters of sperm. If the top 2 countries with the most population in the world lost 1 billion people each, they would still be the top 2 countries with the most population. 12 plus 1 and 11 plus 2 contain the same letters. You can actually fart mucus. Found this out the hard way. Kangaroos can't hop backwards. If you're ever in a fight with a kangaroo, looking at you Aussies, just get behind him. Hey, thanks for subscribing and liking. It really means a lot to me. While you are here, feel free to hop on over to the last video. See you there. Ronnie.